Welcome, seekers of knowledge. Welcome, seekers of knowledge, you in whom words ignite the lanterns of consciousness, and whose souls are quenched by the wellspring of wisdom. Here, within the halls of Millennium Library, we embark together on a unique journey through the paths of letters and the labyrinthine corridors of ideas. This is not just a podcast, it is a cultural edifice that rises with you, from you, and for you. We are here to revive the worlds of novels, to delve into the depths of stories, and to present you with the treasures of classic literature, transcending the boundaries of time and space. Every voice you hear, every word that touches your ears, is the fruit of a joint effort, a human and artistic legacy born from the pristine collaboration between a creative human mind and promising artificial intelligence. We have worked together to transform these timeless literary masterpieces, which are now in the public domain, into captivating audio experiences, reaching you pure, clear, and rich. This work, in all its details, is the property of Millennium Library. All broadcasting and production rights are reserved to it, and everything you hear is part of this cultural legacy that we offer to the world. We kindly ask you to enjoy this unique experience and contribute to spreading the light of knowledge while respecting the ownership and rights of this creative production. Millennium Library, where human and artificial intelligence meet to create an enduring legacy. Join us now in this great auditory adventure. A story on caste. There was once a village inhabited only by Musahars. Among them was one girl who was so beautiful that she seemed more than human. Her father and mother were so proud of her looks that they determined not to marry her to a man of their own caste. They were constantly discussing whom they should choose as a son in law. One day they began to consider who were the greatest persons in the world. The old woman was of opinion that there was no one greater than Chando, the sun god, and suggested that they should marry the girl to him. Her husband agreed, and off they set, and presented themselves before Chando. Chando asked why they had come. Oh, Chando, we understand that you are the greatest being in the world, and we have come to marry our daughter to you, Chando answered. I fancy there is some one greater than I. Who is he? Asked the parents. The cloud is greater than I, for it can hide my face and quench my rays. At this, the father and mother hurried off with their daughter in search of the cloud, and when they found him, told him that they had brought their daughter to give him to wife, as he was the greatest being in the world. I may be great, said the cloud, but there is a greater than I, the wind. The wind rises and blows me away in a minute. So they went in search of the wind, and when they found him, explained to him why they had brought him their daughter. The wind said, I am strong, but there are stronger than I. The mountains are stronger. I can blow things down or whirl them away, but I cannot move the mountains. So on they went to the mountain and explained their errand. The mountain said, I am great, but there are more powerful than I. The ground rat is more powerful, for however high I may be, the ground rats burrow holes in me, and I cannot resist them. The poor parents by this time began to feel rather discouraged, but still they made up their minds to persevere and went on to look for the ground rat. They found him and offered him their daughter in marriage, but the ground rat denied that he was the most powerful being on earth. The Musahars were more powerful, for they lived by digging out ground rats and eating them. The hapless couple went home very dejectedly, reflecting that they had begun by despising their own caste, and had gone in search of something greater, and had ended where they begun. So they arranged to marry their daughter to a man of their own caste after all. Moral: you should not despise your own caste or race. You cannot help what caste you are born into. A Santal may learn to read and write and associate with men of good position, and thereby his mind may be perverted. He may wish to change his caste, become a sadhu, or a karwar, or a boystab, or a Mussulman, or a Christian, or anything else, but people will still know him for a beef-eating Santal. If he becomes a Christian, no one will think him the equal of a Sahib or a Brahman. No Sahib will marry his daughter or give him his daughter in marriage. Remember what happened to the Musahar, who despised his own caste. God caused you to be born in a certain caste. He and not we made the different castes, and He knows what is good and bad for us. Tippy and Tipa. Tippy and Tipa dwelt together and lived on baked cakes. One day they met a bear in the jungle. "Now I will eat you," growled the bear. "Spare us," said Tippy and Tipa, "and tomorrow we will beg some food and bake it into cakes and give it to you." So the bear let them go away to beg, but when they came back they ate the food which they had procured, and then hid themselves inside a hollow gourd. The bear came and looked about for them, but could not find them, and went away. The next day Tippy and Tipa again went out begging, and as luck would have it again met the bear. "Now I will eat you," said the bear. "No said they let us go and beg some food for you." So they went off begging, and came back and baked cakes, and ate them, and then hid inside the gourd. The bear came and carried off the gourd on its shoulder, and began to pick plums and other fruit, and put them into the gourd. As fast as the fruit was put in, Tippy and Tipa ate it up. It is a very funny thing that the gourd does not become full, thought the bear. But Tipa ate so much that at last he burst, with such a noise that the bear threw down the gourd and ran away. The child with the ears of an ox. Once upon a time a son was born to a certain Rajah, and the child had the ears of an ox. The Rajah was very much ashamed and let no one know. But the secret could not be kept from the barber, who had to perform the ceremony of shaving the child's head. However, the Rajah made the barber vow not to tell anyone of what he had seen. So the barber went away, but the secret which he might not tell had an unfortunate effect. It made his stomach swell to an enormous size. As the barber went along in this unhappy condition, he met a Dom who asked why his stomach was so swollen. The barber said that it was because he had shaved the Rajah's child, and had seen that it had the ears of an ox. Directly he had broken his vow and blurted out the secret, his stomach returned to its usual size. The Dom went his way and cut down a tree and made a drum out of the wood, and went about playing on the drum and begging. He came to the Raja's palace, and there he drummed and sang. The son of the Raja has the ears of an ox. When the Raja heard this, he was very angry, and swore to punish the barber who must have broken his vow. But the Dom assured the Raja that he knew nothing about the matter, that it was the drum that sang the words and not he, and that he had no idea what they meant. So the Raja was pacified and gave the Dom a present and sent him away, and the barber was not punished. The child who knew his father. Once upon a time, there was a girl whose parents took the greatest care that she should not be familiar with any of the young men of the village. But in spite of their precautions, she formed an intimacy with a young man and was presently found to be with child. When this became known, the villagers held a panchayat to inquire into the matter. But the girl flatly declined to give any information, and her father and brothers were unable to point out the offender. So the village elders decided to let the matter stand over till the child was born. When the birth took place, the question arose in whose name its head should be shaved. As its father was still unknown, the villagers decided that this should be settled when the child was old enough to talk. So when the child was 2 or 3 years old and could prattle a little, the girl's father went to the headman and Puranik and asked them what was to be done. They said that he must pay a fine to them and another to the villagers, because he had made the village unclean for so long, and give a feast to the villagers, and then they would find out the father of the child and make him marry the girl. And if he refused to do this, he would be outcasted. The unfortunate man agreed, and then the Jog, Manji, and Gaudet were sent to call all the men of the neighborhood to a meeting. They assembled in their best clothes and pagris, and sat down in rows. And in the middle a circle was drawn on the ground. Then prayers were offered to Chando, and the child was set in the circle and told to find its father. The child began to walk slowly along the lines of men, but it did not stop till it came to its real father, who was sitting a little apart, and then it threw itself into his arms. Thus the truth was discovered, and the man married the girl, and, as he was very poor, went to live in his father-in-law's house. Yogeshwar's marriage. Once upon a time there was a young man of the weaver caste named Yogeshwar. He was an orphan and lived all alone. One summer he planted a field of pumpkins on the sandy bed of a river. The plants grew well and bore plenty of fruit, but when the pumpkins were ripe, a jackal found them out and went every night and feasted on them. Yogeshwar soon found out from the footmarks who was doing the damage. So he set a snare, and a few days later found the jackal caught in it. He took a stick to beat its life out, but the jackal cried, "Spare me, and I will find you a wife." So Jogeshwar stayed his hand and released the jackal, who promised at once to set off about the business. The jackal kept his word and went to a city where a Raja lived. There he sat down on the bank of one of the Raja's tanks. To this tank the servants from the palace brought the pots and dishes to be washed, and to this tank also came the Rani and princesses to bathe. Whenever the servants came to wash their dishes, the jackal kept on repeating, "What sort of a Raja is this whose plates are washed in water in which people have bathed? There is no Raja like Raja Jogeshwar. He eats of golden plates, and yet he never uses them a second time, but throws them away directly he has eaten off them once." The servants soon carried word to the Rajah of the Jackal, who sat by the tank, and of his story of Raja Jogeshwar. Then the Rajah sent for the Jackal and asked why he had come. The Jackal answered that he was looking for a bride for Raja Jogeshwar. Now, the Rajah had 3 or 4 daughters, and he thought that he saw his way to a fine match for one of them. So he sent for the young women and asked the Jackal to say whether one of them would be a suitable bride for Raja Jogeshwar. The Jackal chose the second sister and said that he would go and get the consent of Raja Jogeshwar. The Jackal hurried back and told the astonished weaver that he had found a Raja's daughter for him to marry. Jogeshwar had nothing to delay him, and only asked that an early day might be fixed for the wedding. So the Jackal went back to the Rajah and received from him the knotted string that fixed the date of the wedding. The Jackal had now to devise some means by which Yogeshwar could go through the wedding ceremonies without his poverty being found out. He first went to the Rajah and asked how many attendants Raja Jogeshwar should bring with him, as he did not want to bring more than the bride's father could entertain. The Rajah was too proud to fix any number and said they could bring as many as they liked. Jogeshwar, having no relations and no money, was quite unable to arrange for a grand procession to escort him. He could only just afford to hire a palki in which to be carried to the bride's house. So the Jackal sent word to all the jackals and paddy birds of the neighborhood to come to a feast at the palace of the bride, an invitation which was eagerly accepted. At the time fixed, they started off, with all the paddy birds riding on the backs of the jackals. When they came within sight of the palace, the Jackal ran on ahead and invited the Rajah to come out and look at the procession, as there was still time to send them back, if they were too many. But it would be a great disgrace if they were allowed to arrive and find no entertainment. The Rajah went out to look, and when he saw the procession stretching away for a distance of 2 miles or more, with all the paddy birds looking like white horsemen, as they rode on the backs of the jackals, his heart failed him, and he begged the Jackal to send them away, as he could not entertain such a host. So then the Jackal hurried back and turned them all away, and Jogeshwar reached the palace, accompanied only by his palki bearers. Before the wedding feast, the Jackal gave Jogeshwar some hints as to his behavior. He warned him that 3 or 4 kinds of meat and vegetables would be handed round with the rice, and bade him to be sure to help himself from each dish of course in his own house. The poor weaver had never had more than one dish to eat with his rice, and when Pan was handed to him after the feast, he was not to take any until he had a handful of money given him. By such behavior, he would lead every one to think that he was really a prince. Jogeshwar did exactly as he was told, and was thought a very grand personage. The next evening, Jogeshwar set off homewards with his bride, the bride's brothers and attendants accompanying them. They traveled on till the bride's party began to grow tired, and kept asking the Jackal how much further they had to go. The jackal kept on putting them off, till at last they came in sight of a grove of palm trees, and he told them that Raja Jogeshwar's palace stood among the palm trees, but was so old and weather-worn that it could not be seen from a distance. When they reached the palm grove and found nothing but Jogeshwar's humble hut, the bride's brothers turned on the jackal and asked what he meant by deceiving them. The jackal protested that he had told no lies. The weaver ate every day off plates made of dry leaves and threw them away when done with, and that was all he meant when he talked of golden plates. At this excuse, they turned on him and wanted to beat him, but he ran away and escaped. The bride's friends went back and told the Rajah how things had turned out, and as divorce was not lawful. For them, the Rajah could only send for his daughter and her husband, and give them an estate to live on. Conclusion of our journey. And so, we reach the conclusion of our journey for today, within the unending worlds of words and the never folding pages of knowledge. We have spent an enjoyable and beneficial time together within the embrace of Millennium Library, where voices meet tales and a new cultural legacy is forged. We hope you have enjoyed every moment and delved deeply into the dimensions of the story or novel we presented to you. Always remember that this grand edifice, Millennium Library, is the result of a unique collaboration between human creativity and the profound depth of artificial intelligence. Our goal is to enrich your ears and minds with the treasures of world literature and to make knowledge accessible to everyone, while preserving the ownership rights of Millennium Library for this distinctive production. Don't forget to follow us and activate the notification bell to receive all new content. And share this podcast with everyone around you, for knowledge is light, and together we illuminate the paths. Until we meet again in a future episode and a new literary adventure, may you be in the care and keeping of Allah, and within the realm of immortal words. Millennium Library, where tales are embodied, knowledge is narrated, and creativity is immortalized.